So in between the lunch period, Katie Lesso and I will be joining you all with sort of going through what we just saw in day 4 of the Brendan Banfield trial, and then also take you back to earlier this week, because this has been not only the start of a 4-week trial, but a very eventful one. It has been moving very quickly. Already have spoken to the star witness and a number of witnesses. We just ended with a Douglas Gutekunst, excuse me, on the stand there. He is a fingerprint specialist with Fairfax County Police, and he may be recalled back into the courtroom. But Katie, let's start back to what this case centers around. And it centers around the deaths back in 2023 of Christine Banfield, Brendan's wife, and a man named Joseph Ryan, who was a stranger to the family, lured to the family as part of a larger concocted scenario, right, of how Brendan and the au pair
were having an affair.
We're having an affair. We're trying to get rid of Christine, the wife.
Right.
So this is, you know, I want to remind viewers, I think there's this fascination with this story too, because this is suburban family. I mean, we've seen the neighborhood, we've seen the home.
Beautiful home.
A beautiful home in Herndon, Virginia. You have Brendan Banfield, a father, a husband, a IRS crime investigator. Christine, a pediatric intensive care nurse. And they hired an au pair from Brazil to come live with them to care for their 4-year-old daughter.
Right, and this isn't the first time they had hired an au pair. We know that they previously had a different au pair, but she joined the family, I believe, in 2021. You know, it wasn't until the following year, so 2022, around August, that's when she told prosecutors that that affair began, the physical relationship, as she called it. She said it wasn't serious. And then just a few months later, October of 2022, is when she says Brendan came to her with this elaborate plan to get rid of his wife. He wanted to be with her, she says. So
it's one heck of a story. And we have really heard some disturbing details play out in court, some disturbing evidence presented, but let's bring everybody up to speed now. So here we are with the trial, and Brendan is facing 4 counts of aggravated murder, along with child abuse and child endangerment charges and gun charges. And Juliana has pled guilty. She was the first to be arrested. She pled guilty to a lesser charge of a manslaughter, involuntary manslaughter. So now she is working for the prosecutors and testifying against Brendan, her ex-lover.
And she was arrested in October, I believe, of 2023. So, you know, quite a while after this happened. This happened in February of 2023. There were no arrests made in this case until October of 2023. And that first arrest, it was Juliana Perez-Magli. She was initially charged with murder. And, you know, we've learned the past few days a lot of what went into her, like what she was going through while she was behind bars. Brendan was not charged with anything. He was at home, you know, with his 4-year-old daughter. And, you know, we learned a lot about their relationship and how it kind of changed over the course of those months that played out. Brendan would not be arrested until September, I believe, of 2024. So, you know, a lot happened in that time span. And we heard her talking a lot about the letters she was writing to Brendan, and we can talk about some of those letters. You know, we talked about it before the break, but the letters started out as love letters to Brendan, saying she wasn't going to let anything happen to him, but then escalated to her complaining about her attorney and even questioning her relationship with Brendan at points. So that was brought up a lot yesterday. And then, you know, Brendan's arrested in September. She then takes a plea agreement, and this plea agreement is done about a month before she's set to go on trial for the manslaughter charges. So a lot of questions by the defense there about what the reason was for her timing and all of this. She had been very clear. She wanted to get out of jail. She did not want to be there anymore. She's dealing with depression, anxiety. She was on meds at one point. So a lot there.
Yeah, and the defense worked very hard. Brendan's attorney, John Carroll, worked hard yesterday trying to basically, you know, find flaws in her story, poke holes in her story that the prosecution had laid out the day before. Let's take our viewers back to day 1 of this trial, aside from the jury selection, day 1 of the actual trial, where we heard those chilling 911 calls. This was part of the story layout that we got. the lay of the land, so to speak. I think we have those 911 tapes, right?
And there are multiple 911 calls. So the first 911 call, that's at 7:47 the morning of February 24th, 2023.
The day of the killings.
Right. And all you hear in that audio, which we are not going to play for you, it's incredibly disturbing. But this is a 911 call that Juliana says she did make because Christine, who had been, injured at this point in some capacity, she screamed to Juliana, call 911. And Juliana calls 911, but then hangs up. But before she hangs up, I think it's about 7 seconds, you hear this awful moaning sound. So we're not going to play that for you. It's just incredibly disturbing. You then hear the Fairfax 911 center. They call the number back, which we believe is Juliana's number. They call it back and they say, if you have an emergency, give us a call back. There's no answer from Juliana on that. It isn't until about 15 minutes later that Juliana makes that second 911 call.
At 8:02, I believe.
At 8:02 a.m. And that's what we want to play for you if we can right now.
February 24, 2023, 8:02:05.
Fairfax County 911, where's your emergency?
I need help. There is my friend. She just was stuck in the knife now. She's bleeding a lot. I don't know what to do anymore.
Okay, where are you located? What's your address?
Oh my God.
Take a deep breath for me. Just let me know your address.
It's 1-3-1-3.
Okay, 1-3. Take a deep breath for me. You're on Stablebrook Way? Are you on Stablebrook Way? What's your house number?
It's what's the number of this?
Is there somebody else there that can give me the address?
13230 Stablebrook Way.
Okay. And what's your name and what's going on?
My name is Brendan Banfield. I'm a federal agent. This is my house. There's somebody here. I shot him. But he stabbed her. She's bleeding. She's got several marks on her neck. What do I do?
Okay. So what I need you to do is apply direct pressure directly to where she's bleeding from, okay? And if it becomes soaked, just add more cloth to what is already there. How old is the person?
I don't know.
The person that's bleeding?
37.
Okay. Okay, so the person that you shot, where is he?
I don't know him.
Okay, where is he though?
He's here. He's on the ground.
Okay. Okay. And the person that he stabbed, where are they now? Are they still in the hospital? I have rescue coming to you.
He's bleeding. It's my wife.
It's just bleeding. I just don't know what to do.
Okay, so I want you to get a clean cloth and apply direct pressure to where you're bleeding from, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, are you the one that's bleeding? Just keep applying pressure. Don't remove it. If it becomes soaked, just add more cloth to what is already there. Do not use a tourniquet. If one is already on, don't remove it. And don't throw or flush any blood-soaked items, okay? And, sir, I need you not to touch the weapons or disturb the scene at all. And don't touch or remove any impaled object, okay? Sir, hello? Ma'am, can you hear me?
Let me.
Okay. Are you the one that was injured?
She's not responding.
She's not responding anymore. He's bleeding.
Okay. Can you tell me how her breathing is?
I just how her breathing is.
She's heart's still beating. She's
Okay.
still breathing.
Okay. Just keep applying pressure to where she's bleeding from and just put her on her side, okay?
On her side?
Yeah, on her side. You said she's breathing normally. She's just not responding to you?
She's got a very big hole in her neck.
Okay. Just keep applying pressure, okay? Just keep adding more clothes that's already there. And who am I speaking to? Who are you, dear? Are you...
Who's what?
Okay, so who's the person? Where's the person that's bleeding? Where are they in the house?
They're upstairs.
Okay.
In the bedroom.
Okay, and where is the person that was shot? Are they also in the house downstairs?
Yes.
Yeah, he's in the bedroom too.
Okay. Okay.
Can you just send help, please?
Yeah, they're on the way. They're coming to you now, lights and sirens, okay? And any weapon is secured, correct?
Again?
Any weapon is secured?
I have the weapon.
Okay, can you just leave it where it is?
Yeah.
Okay. And you say you don't know the individual that was shot?
No.
No, whenever things the
Okay.
person.
And sir, where are you? Are you taking care of the person upstairs?
I'm trying.
I was trying, but
Okay.
it takes too long.
Okay, I have officers that are pulling up outside, okay? So just make sure the weapon is placed where it is and it's secure, and just keep applying pressure. And make sure your door is unlocked. Can we make sure that's done?
All right.
Okay. And if there's any animals, please make sure they're put away.
Yeah.
Unlock the door.
Okay. I'm gonna lock the door. What is it again?
Okay, so make sure your weapon is down, sir. And now you're coming to the door with your hands up so the officers can see you.
Okay. I locked.
Okay, and the weapon is down?
Are you there? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay. Are they coming?
Yeah, they're on the way. You should see them soon. They're pulling up outside right now. Let me know when you can see them, okay?
I just with them?
You should be able to see them soon.
Huh? I hear them.
Okay, so are we... Okay, and no one has a weapon, right? The weapon's down?
The weapons are down.
Okay.
That one's down.
I hear them.
Okay. They're pulling up outside. Just keep applying pressure to where she's bleeding from and just make sure she's
Okay.
okay?
Not,
Here we're doing this. Okay.
yeah.
Okay, let me know if the officers are with you.
Want to come here?
Yeah, they're pulling up now. They're going to make their way to you. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm showing them outside.
I'm here.
They're here. They can come in.
I'll go ahead and disconnect with you. Speak to the police, okay?
Come in. You guys. It's right here.
Where's the gun at?
We need help.
Where's the gun at?
It's up here.
Right here, on the bed.
He's in the house with you. So, this
My house.
is going on.
Anybody downstairs?
Huh?
My God.
February 24, 2023, 8:10:38.
Yeah, so what you just heard, that was that 911 call. You can hear police officers responding there towards the very end, but you could also just hear the range of emotions. Juliana just completely out of breath in the beginning. And then you hear Brendan take over the call and kind of explain, my name is Brendan
Seemed a little
Banfield.
bit more composed.
Right, and he says, I'm a federal officer. He does make a point to say that pretty early on.
So that was about 8 minutes long, approximately, the morning of the killings. Right now, let's head out to our Matthew Torres, who has been inside the courtroom. He's been covering this for us since day one and will continue to be in that courtroom every single day, Monday through Thursday. Matthew, are you with us? It's Annie and Katie.
Hey Annie, yeah, I can hear you guys. So right now we're in lunch break, and it will go on until 2 p.m. when, of course, we will be returning back into the courtroom. And just as we left, we heard from the fingerprint examiner, as you guys have also been watching, ruling that the fingerprints on the knife that was found in that bedroom, the knife prosecutors say was used to stab Christine Banfield in the neck multiple times, came back inconclusive for both Brendan Banfield and Joseph Ryan's fingerprints. So this is one of the weapons that was apparently used during this crime. We also got to see some pictures of that crime scene, specifically some of the bloodstains on the floor. We didn't see any of the bodies. These were photos taken of the bedroom after their bodies were removed. And interestingly, being in the courtroom, I'm about a couple rows behind Christine Banfield's family. During this time, they didn't even bother looking at the screens in the gallery where they showed those photos, even though you didn't see her body at all, just the bloodstains alone. They kept their head forward, their eyes straight forward. There were moments where they did look up at the screen, maybe when they showed some invoices, whether that be buying the gun or buying the window pane glasses. Those were the moments they really looked at the screen. But when it came to anything regarding Christine Banfield, regarding blood from her bedroom, that was something they really just avoided, and something that I certainly noticed. Brendan Banfield the whole time staying focused as well, looking back at his attorney John Carroll as he is questioning some of these investigators taking the stand today. And I also want to note that when they did show the blood stain, particularly when you're facing the bed, that photo on the right side where you saw the two blood stains, one was darker and then the other apparently enough blood where it seeped under the carpet. Whenever the investigators suggested that that was where Christine's body was, some lady behind me, you heard her whisper, "Oh my God," just to show you the idea of how much blood there was there on the floor. And it brought you back to the details from the medical examiner of the type of injuries that she sustained, specifically the multiple severe stab wounds to her neck. So during that time as well, no one really winced or looked upset looking at these pictures from the jurors. Mind you, they did see body cam footage the first day of testimony already of the crime scene with Joseph Ryan and Christine Banfield's bodies there in that room. Several of them taking notes. They're attentive, they're paying attention. Of course, so is the judge, who's very prompt with all of her questioning and all of her directions as well. And so we are anticipating to see potentially more body cam footage. We know we've already obtained video of whenever the detective was speaking to Juliana Magalhaes outside of that house. And so this is the day really that we're seeing a lot of evidence now from this, including that gun, the duty gun that was allegedly used to shoot Joseph Ryan. But if anything, and you guys probably talked about this, what's also standing out is when that lead crime scene investigators talked about seeing Joseph Ryan on the ground there, his legs underneath the bed. Joseph Ryan's head was apparently on the dog bed as well as on the bottom, the pajama bottoms of Christine Banfield, the checkered ones there. I'm not sure if you guys were able to see the pictures because they do show blood during that time. But that's something that people were really paying attention to because we didn't expect to really see any crime scene photos that showed blood, but the fact that that was after their bodies were removed, I think gave a reason for us to see it publicly. Guys.
Yeah, and Matthew, you know, we're going to get to that body camera footage of Juliana outside in just a few moments, but I do have a question for you. Right at the beginning of the, you know, today's opening, we did hear the judge getting pretty frustrated with the prosecutor. It sounded like she was asking for more time to allow them to view some of the photos that we obviously were about to see. Can you talk about those moments and kind of the reaction from the jury as she was expressing that frustration with the prosecutor?
Yeah, so I kind of came in a little bit at that time as they were reviewing it because obviously the defense wanted more time to do it. As I mentioned earlier, the judge is very prompt. She expects these attorneys to do what they have to do, no more delays. The judge was expecting this to maybe not even go for 4 weeks. And so as far as the jury, of course, they were trying to question what's going on here. But if there is a really good example of what they may have, you know, taken account of was specifically yesterday when everyone was coming back from the lunch break and the judge who told everyone to be back by 2 p.m., the prosecutors were a little bit late. Her answer to them was, when I say 2 p.m., I mean 2 p.m. So just the fact that we're starting out this trial today, even though it's just a few minutes later than normal, it just shows you how serious this judge is when it comes to being on time and to make sure all of the dots have been crossed and T's lined just so we can get this going. And that is something that the jury is taking into account, but certainly all of the evidence that we are seeing that's taking precedence today.
Matthew, it's Annie. You know, I think it's a reminder to viewers as well that this is a rare moment that we are allowed to be inside this courtroom for this trial. I believe in just recent years, this is the second time that media cameras have been allowed inside. Mm-hmm. The last one maybe being Johnny Depp and Amber Heard case. Give us a sense of what the mood is inside the courtroom as you have been covering it now for 4 days. Is it overall a stoic mood? What is the what are you picking up in between the breaks? And just give us a little sense of what it's like to be there in the courtroom.
That's a really good way of putting it. Stoic mood might be the case. You mentioned the Johnny Depp trial. This judge was the same judge during that trial as well. So she certainly is experienced when it comes to having cameras in the courtroom and having a trial be so high profile. But as far as in between, at the hallways, when the breaks, people are really keeping to themselves. You know, we see the attorneys leaving, we acknowledge them, we nod their head. Banfield's parents, as soon as they leave, they kind of walk out and do their own thing, keep separate. It's very interesting. The parents of Christine and the parents of Brendan Banfield, they really haven't been each other's, I should say, they haven't really crossed paths. They go in first into the courtroom and then Banfield's parents go into the courtroom, so they've really maintained that distance between them. Compared to yesterday, I would say there are fewer people in the courtroom today, probably because Juliana isn't testifying, at least today. And so she certainly was the critical moment for everyone paying attention to this trial, to hear her every last word as far as her testimony. And so a lot of people are taking notes. There are people who aren't even members of the media or work for any law office or the Commonwealth's Attorney's Office. They're here just paying attention, taking notes. One of them, who I've already started talking to, she's going to be here as much as possible, probably every day like we are, to pay attention to this. So it gives you an idea that there's such a keen interest, especially from the public. And even, you know, last night I went to dinner and the trial was the topic of conversation, and people were so invested in wanting to know every single detail. Of course, it is so salacious, but you do have attorneys even going in and out. I hear them saying, I'm just popping my head in just to find out what's going on. When you have such a high-profile case, it becomes such a huge draw. But as far as the mood, professional, straightforward, pretty stoic. Ever so often you see some jurors kind of look around to the gallery. There's one woman at the back corner who's kind of doing that. Makes you think if she's paying attention sometimes. Another guy putting his head down. But a lot of note-taking from jurors today, specifically.
I think this is a case that has drawn just, shock and disbelief. It's a case filled with deception and violence, of course. Just you're trying to wrap your head around the details here. Matt, you are there right inside that courtroom. Are you hearing any rumblings, chatter about the possibility of Brendan Banfield taking the stand?
So that's a really good question. At this point, no. But we are all wondering that same thing too. Is he going to take the stand? I think that opens up a lot of debate, criticism as well from the Commonwealth if he gets to do that. I mean, certainly for us following this case, we'd love to hear from him, right? The only thing we're hearing as far as his voice was that 911 call, and other video was him going to that McDonald's, 15 to 20 minutes before that first 911 call was made. But so far, no indication. We did try to ask the defense attorney that, John Carroll. We'll try to ask again, and hopefully we'll get a better answer by tomorrow.
All right, Matthew Torres, thank you for all of your hard work out there. I know you've got about 35 minutes or so before you have to get back inside the courtroom, so we'll let you get back there. Thank you so much.
And, I think Matthew pointed out that a lot of people are fascinated by this case, and it is drawing a lot of interest, right? But at the end of the day, there are so many real families impacted here, and it's so sad for them.
Huge emotional
Can't
element.
even imagine, and especially for the little girl. She was 4 at the time, probably 6 or 7 years old now, and just these are real people. And I think we all need to remember that too as we're going through this process and watching this all unfold. These are real lives impacted here, and just
for sure. And you bring up the 4-year-old daughter. At the time of the killing, some people wondering where was she? Well, she was inside that home. She was in the basement. During the video, the body cam video, we have the footage where Juliana is outside the home speaking with officers. But moments before that, officers testified, or one of the responding officers testified, who was from the child abuse unit. Where is the little girl?
Right, that was one of the first questions. You heard them in the 911 call entering the home, and their first conversation was, where's the gun? Where are the weapons? But then one of their next reactions was, where's the little girl that you said was in this home? And there's body camera footage. We have a couple of clips to show you, but we're not going to show you this one in particular because we do want to protect her identity. She is innocent in all of this, and she has a whole life ahead of her, and a very rough life with that. Yeah. So we have some other body camera footage from the moments after, but that initial body camera footage, you see the officer going into the home, and it was played pretty early on, and you see them helping get this little girl out of the home. Juliana points them to where she is in the basement. And just for a little backstory on this, it's been said that Juliana had taken the little girl and they were headed to the zoo when they turned around to come back, and Juliana, Brendan, and the little girl re-entered the home, and they put the little girl in the basement while this was all apparently happening upstairs. But yes, let's get to that body camera footage if we can.
People upstairs. I can talk to her if you want. Thank you. I'm sorry. What's going on this morning?
I was going out with the Ballard.
It's okay. Take a breath. It's okay. Take a minute, okay?
We need some water.
You want to sit down somewhere? No?
I just need water. Okay. I'm sorry, English is not my first language.
Oh, you're fine.
I was going out with the Ballard to the zoo. The Ballard is her daughter.
Okay, yep, she's sitting over there.
And then I forgot our lunch to bring it. And I was coming back to the house to get the lunch.
Okay. Yes.
Then I saw this car, a strange car. And I called her, why the car is here? I don't know who it is, but it was straight to voicemail, so I couldn't talk to her. And then I called Brendan, her husband.
Okay.
And then he said, wait for me, I'll go there. Don't go inside with Valerie. And then he came back here. And we went inside. And then he went upstairs first, and then I went to see what's going on. And I heard the guy was, I don't know what.
It's okay.
I don't know what he was doing. It's spanking her. I don't know.
You was what?
It's spanking her. I heard, like, I don't know what was that. And Brendan said, police dropped the knife, because he had a knife. And then he said, drop the gun to Brendan. They were yelling. I couldn't understand. They were super fast.
It's okay. It's okay. You want me to see if I can try to get you some water? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me see if there's any. Just wait 1 minute, okay? Hey, do you guys have any bottled water I could give to a witness? No? All right, thank you. All right, they don't have any water. If you give me a couple minutes, I'm sure I can find someone that has some, okay?
I don't know. I'm anxious.
Okay, so you live here?
I'm Nanny. I'm a pair.
You're an au pair? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It's okay.
It was a lot of blood. And we're seeing that.
It's okay. I know it's traumatizing. You're okay. Take a minute.
I'm dizzy.
Okay, so obviously that is extremely troubling to watch and disturbing and upsetting. You can see those emotions coming from her. And that was really the first time we saw Juliana. You know, that body camera, we did have access to it quite a while back, you know, and we were able to see her first interaction with the first responders arriving to the home, and you hear her.
This is minutes after this horrific situation happened or crime.
They've just gotten the little girl out of the home. Now they're bringing her out of the home. And if you watch there towards the end, you could actually see Brendan being brought out of the home with some other officers. They were kept separate. You know, the video goes on to show Juliana and the little girl go into a police car separately at first, but then they're put together in the police car and they're taken to the police department headquarters, I believe, where then we find out that, you know, they're spoken to by investigators. But Brendan is separate at this point. He's taken to the hospital where Christine is. And, you know, shortly after we saw him there, he's taken to the hospital, and then he finds out that Christine did not make it. So a lot happening in that video, and that was part of the evidence that jurors were able to see. There's obviously a lot more footage, but a lot of it is graphic. I mean, that was even hard to hear at points.
It was. So this past week, we heard a number of things. We learned a lot more about their romantic relationship, how it started, what that looked like, and the timeline for that. After the killings occurred, Juliana testified that they continued to have an affair. They continued their relationship, acted like a couple, and also moved into the primary bedroom of the house with Brendan. October 2023 is when Juliana was arrested. And at that moment, we learned that Brendan's mother was paying for her defense, her legal fees upon her arrest. Juliana testified that Brendan's mother, Tess, was providing money and helping to facilitate these calls back home to Brazil, also paying for her legal fees, and all of that ended once she received offers from producers.
Well, so it stops when Juliana decides to tell Tess this concept that she would tell investigators that Brendan orchestrated the thing. So up until this point, Juliana says she hadn't spoken to Tess about what had happened really, but there comes a point where after speaking with her mother, and this was brought up yesterday during the letters, her mother encourages her to tell Tess Brendan came up with the plan.
Right.
And, you know, that was a big conversation yesterday, but as soon as she did that, she stops hearing from Tess. She stops hearing from Brendan, and that money is no more.
Exactly. And that was around the same time that she was also,
Yes.
you know, corresponding with producers and Netflix about possibly selling her story for monetary gains, right? And once that happened, the communication with Tess stopped, the finances stopped at that point.
Right. And when she's talking to these producers, you know, initially she's talking to a producer who does not offer her money, just wants to get the exclusive there. But then another producer comes into the picture, I believe 2 more producers, and they start offering her money. And Juliana was asked about this, and she explains that, you know, she felt like she deserved more. But I do want to take it back a little bit to kind of the conversation between her and the defense attorney, John Carroll. You know, he was getting very specific with her about dates and questioning her on all of these little details, right, that we're talking about. If we're able to, we'd love to take, you know, the conversation that the 2 of them had in court yesterday. It's her talking about how her brain was blocking things out, and that's why she's not remembering. So if we're able to take that sound, I'd love to have you guys take a listen.
How can I tell you? I do not remember the date.
I mean, with all due respect, you don't remember a lot of details.
Yeah.
And that's what's really concerning about this.
Well, if you were in my shoes, you don't remember either. You know, your brain has a way to, a defense mechanism it's called, and it protects you from losing your mind, losing yourself, and many things our brain blocks out, and I guess everybody can relate to that at some point.
So your brain's blocked out the details of this plan that
Judge,
you've talked about?
objection. That is not what she said.
I'll overrule. I didn't hear that.
John Carroll, they're trying to, you know, find or expose flaws and discredit the account, right? And that's what his focus was yesterday, as he was peppering her with very specific questions and then rewording it and re-asking the same questions. And it got to a point, a boiling point, where both parties had a moment.
Yeah, and you know, he's asking specific questions about her relationship and various reasons of things that she told prosecutors, but then he's asking them in a slightly different way and questioning her why you remembered it for the prosecutors but you don't remember it for me. I want you to take a listen, if we can, to one part where she's talking about the letters. He has her read one of the letters, and it's kind of her talking about getting rid of the relationship with Brendan. Take a listen.
Can you please read the highlighted portion for the ladies and gentlemen of the jury?
It says, living in Brazil did not work out for Brendan. 2, not culture, Valerie, his family, career, not anything. That's what I'm getting this idea out of his head and telling him it's okay to move on with his life. That's what makes me more upset, knowing that my trial would have been this week and the next, and that this would have come to an end one way or another. But what can I do? And yes, it will be November. The son of a bitch better to think, not to think about moving again. I'm already pissed off at him because for the 3rd time this week, he said he would come see me today and everything, but he didn't come. He had unforeseen circumstances. He says he'll come on Monday, and I already feel like we're behind again in hiring the specialists we need, etc. I don't even want to think about it. He's stressing me out. And you soon be back to college classes, right? And how is the progress on your paper? That's right. Enjoy the stuff around the house. I reckon that anything there costs 230, 100 reais. So expensive compared to here, LL. Wow. Don't even get me started on letting go of relationship.
Is this your communication saying that you're letting go of your relationship with Brendan?
Well, it seemed like it.
You wrote it.
Yes.
So is that what this is?
It sounds like it.
So, ma'am, what I'm doing is asking of you as the author. You wrote that for a reason. Is that the reason?
What did you ask?
You as the author, you wrote it for a reason.
I wrote a message for a reason.
And is the reason here that this is you letting go of Brendan in your relationship?
I guess so.
Okay, well, do you know? Do you remember writing this?
Yes.
Okay, is that what you were saying?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Annie, again, you saw her getting really frustrated with his line of questioning and, him getting very specific on details.
Which is his job, right? His job is to find any moment where he can destroy her credibility or find an inconsistency so that the jury members can really lean in on what really happened
Right.
and get down to the bottom of it.